In response to the responsibility gap, one of the things that I suggest is that business ethics scholars start looking more closely at what I refer to as the 3 I's: insight, identity, and intra and interpersonal skills. And I distinguish each of these from one of the common areas of focus that we often pay attention to in business ethics. So let me start with insight. There's a class of problems that psychologists refer to as insight problems, or the eureka experience. And this is the experience of looking at a puzzle and trying to figure out how to solve that puzzle, which at first blush looks irresolvable. And all of a sudden you kind of have this experience of, oh my gosh, I see the logical relationship, here's how to solve it. And my suggestion is that oftentimes, because business is about action, business ethics resembles insight problems more than it resembles analytic problems. And yet we in business ethics are largely engaged in an activity of analysis, of trying to analyze what's at stake, whose claims take priority, what the right course of action is. And I think in business oftentimes, there isn't one right course of action. And in fact, the deep challenge is to figure out how, with the set of resources that I have at my disposal, including myself, my use of self, how to inventively come up with a solution that can simultaneously meet this competing set of responsibilities that are part of the responsibility gap. So what I propose is that we think more about how could we do research that would identify the strategies that people use when they try to resolve ethical challenges, rather than simply paying attention to analyzing the problems, figuring out what's at stake, and what should our priorities be, and how do we adjudicate claims. So that's the insight part of it. Identity I distinguish from knowledge. And what I mean by identity is how people, how managers, how students in our classrooms see themselves. Because what we now know from research is that how someone sees themselves is as powerful a lever for how they will conduct themselves as are many other individual attributes and many other factors in the situation. There's great research by Americus Reed and Carl Aquino that documents the way in which if someone has moral concerns as a central component of their identity, they're more likely to be sensitive to ethical issues that arise in a situation. They're more likely to persevere and act in an ethical way, even against forces that would otherwise conspire for them not to do so. And what I'd suggest is that what we're really good at in business ethics is supplying students with knowledge about different ethical theories, knowledge about what their legal duties are, and that's all important, and I don't at all want to discount that. But what I'd like to suggest is that we spend as much attention, we spend as much time trying to help our students grasp what is deeply important to them, and also fostering them a certain sense of self that enables them to see ethical situations not simply as tests of character, but also as opportunities to build a set of capabilities that will enable them over the course of their careers to take on ever more pressing and difficult ethical challenges, to actually step up to the responsibility gap. The third set of I's, intra and interpersonal skills, I contrast with conceptual skills. Again, I don't want to discount the conceptual skills necessary to take effective ethical action. That is, people need to be able to understand what sets of responsibilities are in play, what the various claims are within a particular situation, how they might navigate or adjudicate amongst them. But we're really good and really comfortable in business ethics with providing students with various types of conceptualizations regarding deontology or stakeholders or utilitarianism or integrative social contracts, all of which has been a tremendous advance in our field. At the same time, I think what students really need, what managers really need when they confront ethical challenges, and in particular when they need to span the responsibility gap, when they need to find creative solutions for meeting competing ethical responsibilities, they need a set of skills that will enable them to bring people together, to lead others to rise to the challenge, to in fact confront violators or aid victims or guide their followers to be able to act effectively. And that's what I mean by interpersonal skills. And intrapersonal skills are how you manage yourself And this gets back to the point about self-regulation in hot and cold states, that if you're going to lead others, we oftentimes will have an impulsive reaction. We want to get involved and solve it. And the real challenge for managers is often, how do I manage myself so that I can attend to the needs of the situation and foster and facilitate others to be able to respond effectively to the challenges they face?